Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sanji, and in this video we're going to look at what the most hated companies on the Australian Stock Exchange are. Now, I am being a little bit aggressive when I say the most hated. What I am saying though is these are companies that institutional investors and maybe everyday investors have positioned their portfolios in such a way to make money when these particular companies go down in value. And if it sounds familiar, yes, I'm talking about short selling. So what I'm going to actually go through is essentially what are the most shorted stocks on the Australian Stock Exchange and where you can go to actually go and find this information for free, publicly available. So let's get into it. So obviously the first place to start is what is short selling. Now, currently it's 2021, late March. By now there would be like a million videos on the internet around what short selling is, especially because of what happened with GameStop early in the year. So I'm not going to do an entire video on that, but the idea is very simple, and I'll link above to maybe a Bill Ackman video on short selling because I think he's quite experienced on it. But the general idea is if you think a particular stock is going to go down in value, you speak to your broker, you try and borrow some of those shares for that company, you sell them on the market, you pocket that money. So let's say, I don't know, $1 million. You then wait till the share price actually goes down. Hopefully it does go down, otherwise you are screwed. It goes down in value. You then go back into the market, buy those shares, you give it back to your broker's happy, you're happy because now you've made the difference between the $1 million you sold those shares at and maybe you had to buy it in at $500,000, and the people who bought and sold the shares off you at that time, they don't really care because they thought they were getting the market that they wanted. That was an incredibly basic way of describing it. There's a lot more detail to it, which I barely understand myself, so please do check out some of those other videos, but that's short selling. Now, what do you do as an everyday Australian if you want to know, hey, which companies are being shorted right now? I want to know this stuff because I don't want to necessarily go and buy a company that institutional investors, because let's be honest, the people who are actually doing this big short selling is usually going to be institutional people who have a lot of money and a lot of research, done a lot of thinking on this, and this is where they're, this is their bread and butter kind of stuff. So if someone else like them thinks this particular company is probably not worth buying because it's got such a high short position on it, you should be aware of it, right? So that's where knowing what the short list is coming in very handy. So officially there is a list created by ASIC, the Australian Securities and Investment Commission, that you can go and download. Now I'll show you a couple of screenshots, but it's pretty straightforward. You go to the website, you click 2021, you choose the date that you want, and you get a PDF that will look something like this, where you can see the name of the company, the ASX code, and how many short positions there are relative to the total shares on issue. So you get like a percentage short interest or percentage short position on this particular company. And the idea is the higher the percentage, the more, let's word this correctly, the higher the percentage, the more shares that are being held with the view that the value of the shares will go down in the future. It's probably the best way to put it. So a company that has like a 1% short position versus a company that has a 10% short position, the one that has a 10% short position, you should be wary that it might go down in value because a lot of other people do expect it to go down in value, is what I would say. Now, there are websites out there that have made it much easier for you to actually find this information out and digest it online. And one of them is shortman.com.au, and it looks like this when you get to the web page. You've got your top shorted stocks on the left, you get a couple of trends, and you got some weekly movers on the right. So you can see right there, these are the most hated companies if we go back to my original question. Webjet, Tassel Group, Ingham's, Flight Centre, Metcash. Now, obviously on the website, if you do want to get more detail on a particular short position, you can just click on it. So you type in Webjet, click on it, you can get a 12-month trend, 3 years trend. I thought the 3-year trend on Webjet was interesting, that you can see it was being shorted before COVID even happened. So COVID happened, around January, February, March. Look at the short position around there. It was kind of holding at 10%, kind of fell down. Maybe people were closing out their position. But you can see in the run up to January, the short position went from 2.5% up to 10%. So obviously, I would just say right now, this entire video is entertainment value. There is no financial information in here in terms of guidance or advice. Do your own research. But the one thing I would say is if you are going to look at a short position graph, look at it against the actual share price graph as well. So you can see how the trends are moving. Like the reason someone's probably closing out their shorts is because the share price has actually gone down and they're happy with it. Or maybe they're being squeezed out, like what happened with GameStop. something to be wary of. So how would I use this information in terms of my own investing? Basically, if I'm looking to invest in a particular company, like an individual company, I'd take a moment to actually look at what is the short position on it. Is it quite high currently, or is it trending up, like the shorts are going, or the short position interest is going up over time? Because if that was the case, I'd be a bit wary in investing in it, because it means that people who are much smarter than me, can I say, have put money on the line to try and take advantage of the share price going down in value. And here I am trying to buy it. So just something to be wary of. Obviously, do your own research, but this is actually a very handy tool to do your own research with, checking out your short position for a particular company. So hopefully you got some value out of it. If you want to see one of my other videos on topics like ETFs, click down here. That's what I prefer to invest with. I don't really like doing individual companies anymore. And if you do want to see that video from Bill Ackman about shorts and short positioning, click up here. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.